All right, it's 1 o'clock. Good afternoon, everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Mike Serra, the Executive Director of the League of Municipalities. Thanks for joining us today. I know we did this kind of on the fly, but it is time sensitive and significant. So we wanted to give an opportunity to get as many people on. We are recording this, as you heard. So if one of the impacted subdivisions, the municipalities, couldn't participate, they can watch this and get more information. I'm going to pass the baton in a moment, but just if you can, please keep yourselves muted during the presentation. You can put questions into the box, or I think we can open up at the end. But again, we've all had the experience where we hear someone's conversation going on in the background, and sometimes there's not what not what you want to hear. Um, Again, I'll monitor the chat box for any questions, and I'll direct them. We're joined by Lara Fogel, of who is with the OAG's office, who is and I'm sorry, Lara, I lost your title,
No
but
worries.
I'll leave that to introduce yourself. And I see John is on as well. I don't know if anyone else from your team was able to join us. I think Brian DeVito
Yep.
is here as well. So I'll let you pass the baton. I appreciate the outreach on this and the opportunity to reach out to our members. And with that, Lara, please, it's your show.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike. Thank you so much for setting this up. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. I see there's a really nice turnout. So we're very happy to see everybody. We are going to be sharing a PowerPoint presentation. So I'm just going to ask my colleague, Brian, to please put it up on the screen and we can get started. And I guess while we're waiting, oh, here we go. If we could please just save all questions till the end, and then we'll be happy to answer any questions then. Okay. So my name is Lara Fogel, and I am the Assistant Attorney General in charge of opioid litigation and recovery, and also affirmative civil enforcement at the New Jersey Attorney General's office. Again, thank you for being here. I have prepared this PowerPoint presentation. I hope it will be helpful as we go through this and I speak about the 9 new opioid settlements at play here. But before I get started, please, next slide. Before I get started, just wanted to give a quick disclaimer. Nothing that I say here today should be considered advice or recommendation or an offer to perform services. I'm merely here for general information purposes. Please don't act or refrain upon acting on anything I say without seeking your own legal counsel. No representations are being made as to the completeness of the information that I'm providing today, and nothing I say here today is intended to create an attorney-client relationship or be construed as legal advice. So with that disclaimer put behind us, let's turn to the presentation. Okay, so before we get started, I did want to take a minute to situate everybody in terms of where things stand in the opioid settlement world. So what we were calling Wave 1 were our nationwide opioid settlements with Johnson & Johnson, along with the country's 3 largest pharmaceutical distributors, McKesson, Cardinal Health, and AmerisourceBergen. And that those Wave 1 opioid settlements, they brought in and continue to bring in $26 billion nationwide and approximately $641 million for New Jersey. So that was Wave 1. We then had the Wave 2 opioid settlements. Those were nationwide settlements with 3 pharmacy chains, so CVS, Walgreens, and Walmart, and with 2 drug makers, Teva and Allergan. And those brought in and continue to bring in about $20 billion nationwide and about $508 million for New Jersey. So just from Wave 1 and Wave 2 opioid settlements, New Jersey is expected to receive over $1 billion in opioid settlement payments to help abate the opioid epidemic in New Jersey. And now the reason for today's presentation, we are now in what we're calling Wave 3. And those are nationwide settlements with 8 smaller opioid drug makers, what we're calling secondary manufacturers. And those together are expected to bring in about $720 million nationwide and just under $20 million for New Jersey. So the purpose of this presentation, it's to provide an overview of these 8 new opioid settlements with the 8 secondary manufacturers, and also speak about a direct settlement with the Sackler family. And I'm speaking here today with the primary purpose of strongly encouraging all 262 eligible New Jersey subdivisions to sign on to all 9 opioid settlements. And as with prior opioid settlements, there was a state sign-on period, and now we're in the subdivision sign-on period. So first, there needed to be a critical mass of states that signed on to these 9 opioid settlement agreements. That has already happened. New Jersey has signed on along with the other states, and now we're in the subdivision sign-on period. And this is where we need all 262 eligible New Jersey subdivisions to sign on to all 9 settlements. The greater the number of eligible subdivisions that sign on, the more monies will come into New Jersey to abate the opioid epidemic. And just in terms of deadlines, they are really fast approaching. I know Mike said that. We're in a huge time crunch. The deadline to sign on to the Sackler direct settlement is September 30th. That's just 20 days away. And then the deadline to sign on to the 8 secondary manufacturer settlements is October 8th. So not very far away either. Next slide, please. Okay, so as I said, there are a total of 9 opioid settlements that I'm going to be discussing today. The first is a single settlement agreement with members of the Sackler family who founded Purdue Pharma. And that agreement is called the Governmental Entity and Shareholder Direct Settlement Agreement, or GISA. So that's one settlement agreement for the Sacklers. And then there are 8 settlements with 8 smaller secondary manufacturers: Alvogen, Amneal, Apotex, Hikma, Indivior, Mylan, Sun Pharmaceuticals, and Zydus. Next slide. So in terms of payment terms, let's discuss overall nationwide numbers, and then we can turn to New Jersey numbers. So nationally, the payout from Purdue Sacklers is up to $7.4 billion. This is nationwide, with up to $6.5 billion from the Sacklers in 16 payments over 15 years, and approximately $900 million from Purdue on emergence from bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is currently pending in the Southern District of New York, the bankruptcy court. So upon emergence, Purdue, who is in bankruptcy, is supposed to pay $900 million. So that's the Purdue Sackler side. And then in the other lane, the secondary manufacturers, the payout from them is supposed to be nationwide up to approximately $719 million over up to 10 years. There are 8 different settlement agreements. Each one has a different payment term. Some of these 8 settlements are paid out in 1 year, some in multiple years, but the greatest number of years for any of these 8 settlements is 10 years. So looking at New Jersey, the state and its eligible subdivisions can receive up to approximately $125.5 million from Purdue Sacklers and up to approximately $19.8 million from the secondary manufacturers. So together, all 9 opioid settlements, New Jersey and its eligible subdivisions can receive up to approximately $145.3 million. Next slide. So I'm showing you, it's actually 2 different slides, but we couldn't fit it into one slide because you'll see this slide goes through payment date 7. And Brian, if you could go to the next slide, please. This next slide goes through payment date 16. I told you that the Sackler direct settlement and Purdue will be making 16 payments. You see at the bottom of your screen that there's a total of $125.46 million that New Jersey and its eligible subdivisions can earn from Purdue Sacklers. Brian, if you could go to the slide before, please. Okay, so I just want to walk you through this. Let me flag that nationalopioidsettlement.com is an amazing resource. It's got tons and tons of information that you could need on any of the stuff that I'm talking about today, including this chart, which is the estimated distribution chart from, for Purdue Sacklers. And these are New Jersey's numbers. Just to explain it for a minute, if you look at payment type, you'll see that there are estate payments and then there's base payments and incentive payments. The estate payments are what are coming from Purdue. That's from the Purdue in the bankruptcy. Those, just as sort of something you should be aware of, those payments are the most volatile in terms of hard to know exactly if they're going to be that amount or not. Mainly because there's certain factors outside of our control that have yet to happen. But that number could go down if there are litigation costs or admin costs among anything. And that number could go up if there's recovery of insurance proceeds, if the Purdue successor company, NUCO, has money to provide, money can come from third-party litigation, et cetera. So the estate payments, those are the best numbers that we have, but those could change. The base and incentive, those are the monies from the Sackler family. The base amount is how much each state will receive just by signing on to the agreements. And then the incentive payments, the maximum incentive payment is if all 262 subdivisions in New Jersey sign on to that, that's the amount that the Sacklers will pay. And then you see a state total, which is the estate plus, Purdue plus Sackler, for each payment date 1 through 16. These Sackler payment numbers are more or less reliable. They're nothing here is 100% set in stone, but these are the best numbers that we have been provided. And again, if you want to see this chart, because I think it's really helpful, please go to nationalopioidsettlement.com. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so I just went through the payment terms, sort of the key payment terms for the Sackler settlement and then the 8 secondary manufacturer settlements. But each of these settlements also has injunctive relief. So for example, there are injunctive terms for the Sackler family. They can't participate in the domestic opioid business. They have to make commercially reasonable efforts to sell their, what we call the IACs, the International Opioid Manufacturing Companies, and they have to allow for their name to be removed from buildings, from facilities, from scholarships, endowments, and the like, just to name a few. Next slide. There are also injunctive terms for Purdue at emergence. As I mentioned before, there is a Purdue successor company. It's called NUCO. That's going to be wholly owned by a new foundation with a board of directors that's chosen by the states in consultation with the ad hoc committee of governmental entities. And NUCO has to abide by Purdue's existing ban on opioid promotion. And notably, NUCO has to create an online document repository. It's going to have over 30 million documents that's going to be available to the public that they can look at and try to see and learn about the unlawful conduct on the part of Purdue and the Sacklers. Next slide. Also, the secondary manufacturers have injunctive terms. They can't promote opioids. They can't manufacture opioid products with more than 40 milligrams of oxycodone. They also have to create a system for detecting and documenting and reporting any suspicious opioid ordering, among other terms. Just a note of these 8 settlements, Indivior is slightly differently situated only because it manufactures products to treat opioid use disorder. So therefore it has slightly less stringent injunctive terms. Next slide. Okay, so, just so you see the press releases from our office on June 16th, 2025, AG Plotkin, he announced that New Jersey signed on to the direct settlement with the Sacklers. On July 10th, 2025, AG Plotkin announced that New Jersey signed on to the 8 nationwide settlements with 8 secondary manufacturers. So at this point, New Jersey, the state has signed on to all 9 settlements. We now need all 262 eligible New Jersey subdivisions to sign on to all 9 settlements to maximize abatement dollars for New Jersey. Next slide. Now, before we get to sign-on mechanics, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. Please feel free to ask questions, but I thought it important to note that all 9 opioid settlements, as well as the funds from the Purdue bankruptcy, they are all governed by the Memorandum of Agreement between the state of New Jersey and local governments on opioid litigation, which we refer to as the state subdivision agreement. So that's going to dictate how in addition to the settlements themselves, the state subdivision agreement is going to dictate how these opioid settlement funds have to be spent and reported and the like. Next slide. So pursuant to the state subdivision agreement, all opioid funds, which are abatement funds, those are going to be split 50-50 between the state and its eligible subdivision. So there'll be a state share and then there'll be a local government share. Next slide. Okay, and then within the local government share, this is Exhibit G to the distributor agreement. If you guys see, there's NJ1, that goes NJ1, 2, 3, 4, et cetera, until NJ 262, because there are 262 eligible subdivisions in New Jersey eligible for direct opioid settlement payments. The way a subdivision gets onto this, got onto this list was if it has a population of 10,000 or above, or it litigated against the distributors or Janssen. So if your subdivision has a population under 10,000 and did not litigate against distributors or Johnson & Johnson or Janssen, then your subdivision will not be on this list and will not be eligible for direct opioid settlement payments. But if your subdivision is on this list, this provides a percentage of the local government share to which your subdivision is entitled. So for example, if we look at Aberdeen Township, it would be entitled to 0.0797% of the local government share for each opioid settlement that's covered by the state subdivision agreement. Okay, so let's just speak a little bit about some restrictions on the opioid funds. I'm just highlighting a few from the state subdivision agreement. Though these opioid settlement funds, they have to be used for approved uses, approved purposes. That's defined in Exhibit E to the distributor and Janssen settlement agreement, but those uses are primarily for opioid remediation uses. Next slide. So as you can see, Exhibit E has a Schedule A, which are the core abatement strategies. These are the most preferred strategies to use the opioid settlement funds for, but they're not the exclusive strategies. Next slide. Exhibit E also has a Schedule B with approved uses, and those are super broad, and they're including but not limited to what's set forth in Schedule B, which includes uses for treatment and prevention and other strategies. Super, super broad, but a very helpful guide in terms of figuring out how to use these opioid settlement funds. The state subdivision agreement also has a supplement, not supplant requirement that these opioid funds shall be used to supplement and shall not supplant federal, state, county, or municipal funds, and also that opioid funds can't be used to reimburse the state or any county or municipality for past expenditures. Next slide. There are also reporting requirements set forth in the state subdivision agreement. It's at least once a year, the reporting, basically, how much your subdivision got or received in opioid settlement funds and how those opioid settlement funds were used. Next slide. This is a very important slide that I did want to highlight. The subdivision agreement does permit eligible New Jersey subdivisions to sign on to the opioid settlements, but then have their share of proceeds voluntarily redistributed to the county in which they reside. So certain subdivisions might be interested in this option to avoid being subject to various reporting requirements that we just discussed. And essentially, when you sign on to these settlement agreements, you will be provided with an option to voluntarily redistribute your funds to the county in which you reside if for whatever reason you don't want them. Also, to the extent your subdivision has already been receiving opioid settlement funds from wave one and wave two, this is completely separate. You can elect to voluntarily redistribute your funds on an opioid settlement by opioid settlement basis. So if you elect to voluntarily redistribute your funds with respect to, let's say, the 8 secondary manufacturers, you can still continue to receive your wave one and wave two settlement monies, and let's say the Sackler money. You can really do it on a settlement by settlement basis. And it's important to know about, because if for whatever reason you don't want, your subdivision doesn't want its share of the 9 settlements, we don't want you to not sign on, because that will impact how much New Jersey and its eligible subdivisions will receive. Please sign on and then choose the voluntary redistribution option. But certainly please sign on to all 9 agreements. Next slide. Okay, so the sign-on mechanics, Rubris is our implementation administrator for all 9 settlements, responsible for the participation forms. And each subdivision should have received sign-on packets for the settlements. As I explained before, the sign-on deadline for the Sackler settlement is September 30th, and for the secondary manufacturers, it's October 8th. And here's this website that I mentioned before, nationalopioidsettlement.com. And that's going to give you a ton of information with respect to the Sacklers, with respect to the secondary manufacturers. And then you can look, there's also a ton of information about wave one and wave two. The preferred sign-on method is through DocuSign using an e-signature. The next preferred method is through DocuSign using a manual signature. And then the least preferred, but still an option, is you can email opioidsparticipation@rubris.com with a manual signature. But sign on to all 9 settlements can be done through the DocuSign platform. Next slide. So this is very important. You all should have received 2 separate emails from Rubris, the National Opioid Settlement Administrator, from a DocuSign.net email address. They'll look the same, so you might think that you received a duplicate, but they're not duplicates. One is for the Purdue Sackler settlement. The other is for the secondary manufacturer settlement. So please go into that settlement. You see the review documents button. Please press that button, and you basically will, through one email, sign the participation form and execute the participation form for the Purdue Sackler settlement. And then through the second email, you'll please complete the second participation form, which is a combined participation form for all 8 secondary manufacturers. So that we did that for everyone's ease of signing on. You don't have to do this 8 separate times. There's one combined participation form for all 8 secondary manufacturers. And please, follow the instructions to complete and execute these 2 participation forms. Next slide. So if you have any questions about the subdivision sign-on process, here is Rubris's email address, opioidsparticipation@rubris.com. We also have our own opioids inbox that our team monitors and responds to at the New Jersey Attorney General's office. It's opioidsettlements@njoag.gov. And then if you have any questions about initiatives that you're considering, your county, your municipality, your subdivision is considering, and you have a question about that, you can reach out to our Division of Mental Health and Addiction Services at dmhas@dhs.nj.gov. And I'll just finish this, and happy to answer questions, because I saw that questions were popping up in the box. But we're really just encouraging everybody as soon as possible to sign on to these 9 opioid settlements. If you have any questions, our team is willing to walk you through this and help you with that. If you're not like, let's say you're not the right person, but you know the right person in your subdivision for us to be in contact with, please let us know, because sometimes the two emails from Rubris are going to the wrong people. So we just want to sort of find the right contacts and get those subdivisions to sign on as soon as possible, with the goal of maximizing opioid settlement dollars for the state of New Jersey and its subdivisions. Thank you. So let
All
me,
right, thank you, Lara.
yeah, sure.
We get back on here. All right. Okay. So, well, you just some of the questions in the box have been answered. What Jody Stevens indicates that she did not receive the packets. Where can we obtain them?
Okay, so we're going to, Jody, if you could please email that email address at the on the last slide. By the way, Mike, I don't know, like we can send you the PowerPoint presentation, and if you can make it available to everyone
That will
who,
be helpful.
yeah, who you,
Yes.
that would be great. But our opioid settlement inbox email address, if anyone did not receive these two Rubris emails, please email the New Jersey Attorney General's office at that opioid settlements inbox, and we will take care of it right away and get you these two emails.
So which email is that? The opioids participation at rubris.com or the other one?
It's the other one. But if you were to email Rubris, they'll also do the same thing, because we'll just reach out to Rubris and do it. We
Oh,
were just trying to be helpful. So either one, you will
I
do
will
fine.
eliminate the middleman. I will.
Yes, yes,
Thank you.
And
sure.
Jody, if you Brian just put the email into the chat box as well. Actually,
Great.
put both in.
Thank you, Brian.
But I believe the more direct route is the first one, right?
Exactly. If you
Okay.
like, because we'll just email Rubris. So if you just email Rubris, that would be even more efficient, but we're happy to also handle it.
Brittany is asking if um, how can we confirm if we signed both?
Yeah. So you can again email our inbox, the New Jersey Attorney General's office inbox. We are pulling reports every single day, showing which subdivisions have signed on to the Purdue-Sackler settlement and which subdivisions have signed on to the 8 secondary manufacturers. So we can certainly let you know that. It's also something you can ask Rubris. So whichever way you would like. And maybe you could start with Rubris, and if you don't get a response, reach out to us and we will respond, because we're looking at that inbox every day now.
All right. I think that's it for the chat box. Any other questions, folks? Hearing and seeing none, we will make this recording available and we'll send out a link to everyone here, and with the PowerPoint as well. And you have the contact emails for additional information. And I was again act sooner rather than later is preferred. So Lara, anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
No, just thank you very much. And, please keep, like, haste is preferred here, just because September 30th is super quickly approaching, and we really, like we did for wave 1, where we maximize dollars for New Jersey, and like we did for wave 2, where we maximize opioid abatement dollars for New Jersey, we were really hopeful to be able to do the same thing again for this third wave. So thank you.
Okay, so with that, and again, any follow-up questions that occur to you afterwards, you have their information. I know everybody has my information because I sent this Zoom link out. So you can, if you can't find another address, you can send it to me and I'll get it to them as well. So with that, everyone, hey, Space Way, so get on it and have a great day and rest of the week.
Thank
Thank
you,
you all.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.